The book is called The Domesticated Brain, and I got the inspiration for that title by reading an article that was the Discover magazine in 2010 by Kathleen McCulloch, in which she points out a really strange oddity of human evolution. And that is that since the end of the last ice age 20,000 years ago, the human brain has shrunk by about the size of a tennis ball, 10 to 15%. And that was an alarming fact. I don't know about you, but I wouldn't like to lose that amount of neural tissue. And so that's very odd, because that stands in stark contrast to the generally accepted view that over the course of human evolution, for the past 2 million years, the brain has been getting larger, as indeed has the brain of other animals which live in large social groups. In fact, there's a direct relationship between the size of the brain and the size of the social groups that animals live in. This is known as the social brain hypothesis. So this seems an odd fact to find the brain's been getting smaller. If you combine that with the fact that the population exploded at the end of the last ice age, we know that by an analysis of the mitochondrial DNA, that the human population increased in vast numbers, and we had to settle down into large groups. So why would a brain get smaller when we're settling in large groups? It just doesn't seem to make any sense. And in the article, a number of propositions are considered, but it was this notion of domesticity was the one that really captured me. The idea is that brains shrink as a byproduct when you become domesticated. Now, normally when you think about domestication, you think about all the features of living in modern society. But domestication has a much older and scientific precedence, most notably in the famous book On the Origin of Species by Darwin. And Darwin, of course, used the book to lay out his theory of natural selection, and it was based on his observations and his travels. But a lot of the argument was based on his discussion with breeders, animal breeders, who were domesticating the species by selecting those individuals with the desirable attributes and then breeding them together. And I've taken this quote from the last pages on the origin of species because, well, first of all, I think it's great to have a famous scientist like Darwin acknowledge the importance of psychology. Something I often have to battle with my colleagues. But he said that psychology will be based on a new foundation, that of the necessary acquirement of each mental power and capacity by gradation. Light will be thrown on man in his history. And what he's saying is that if you really want to understand humans, it's not enough just to know about their physical changes and the adaptations to physical environments. You have to understand the brain changing in addition to changing environments and the mind that that creates. In other words, he's proposing evolutionary psychology. And I think what went on at the end of the last ice age was indeed the environment changed, it got warmer, but then living in large groups needed us to select for individuals who were better adapted, who were more pro-social. We had lived in groups before, there's no question about that, but this rapid increase in population required individuals who were much more conducive to being amenable to others, getting on, communicating, cooperating. And I think that's what went on. So we were domesticating ourselves, choosing those individuals with these particular traits.